Rachel, owner and artist at Stella Rose Boutique here in Greenville, Tennessee, where we are your everyday person's upcycling store. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and mash that notifications bell so you won't miss any of my upcoming trash to treasures, thrift flips, how-to tutorials, and just everyday upcycling old furniture and making it new home decor again. I also have a very special thank you. I am almost at 500 subscribers, less than 50 away in less than 3 months' time. Thank you, and it's all because of you guys. So I'm going to have a giveaway when we hit 500 subscribers. Watch your notifications because you can be part of it. So today though, I have a trash to treasure for you. I've picked up a bed, and I think it was a planter at the local dump, and I've got some eggs that I've got from Walmart and some scrap wood. Let's see what I do with it. Come on and let's go. Y'all know I am notorious for bringing stuff home when I find it at the dump. And this little guy came home with me one day when I took my trash off. It started off with 4 slats on each side. I did take one off, so it only has 3 now. And I took my DeWalt jigsaw and I cut the legs off of it to start. And then I took it over to my belt sander and I made sure that the bottom was smooth and all of the sides were smooth as well. After I was done sanding the basket, then I decided I was going to use one of the spindles that I had from one of the chairs I took apart. I got this chair at one of my local girlfriend's garage sales this past fall. I measured it up, I cut it with my chop saw, and then I took it to the sander again. The little spots where it was attached to other parts of the chair still had things sticking out of it. So I wanted to make sure that it was smooth so nothing would get caught and nobody could get hurt on it while they were holding it. I wanted to make sure that this basket would stay sturdy for a very long time to come. So I put a few extra nails at the bottom of both sides of the basket. Then I went and measured on the inside of each side so that it was an even fit and that the basket handle was level across the top. After I measured it, then I put wood glue on both sides of the spindle, and then I used my air nail gun and I put a nail in on each side so that it was secure. I decided this was going to be a spring basket, and I got out my Klingon Short 30 brush, which is my favorite go-to brush, and my DIY paint in mint chip. After I had a good base coat of DIY's mint chip over the entire basket, I decided it needed to have some really pretty spring colors to liven it up a little bit. So I added my DIY Petticoat Pink, cake batter, and I had a little bit of cherry picked at the bottom of the container, and then I added a little bit of beadboard to it to make a very light purple. DIY is the easiest paint in the world to blend. Anybody can do it. It's so simple. So you'll see I take my Fine Mist water sprayer by the Turquoise Iris and I start blending. See how simple this is to blend? It's super easy. I promise you can do it too. I then got out my DIY Big Top sealer, and I got out my brushes that I use with my sealers. I keep one set of good brushes, my Klingon brushes for painting, and then I have this other set that I use for sealing. Then when I was done, I dried it really quickly with my heat gun. I then decided I'm going to stencil a bunny on here. So I got out my Hello Spring stencil by JRV, and I stenciled the flowers, the grass, and the bunnies on each side of this basket. I dried my stencils with my heat gun, and then I got out my Big Top from DIY to seal them in. You see how I'm dipping it, and I make one swipe light-handedly across the bunnies in each direction, and I don't go back over it. That's because the paint can be reactivated and you don't want to smear it by going back and forth. So one swipe, and then I set it and dried it with the heat gun again. I went and got my basket of scraps, so I knew I wanted to use lavender pieces along the sides. And that's what I did, is I cut them up and I used them along the sides of the basket, but my camera didn't get a good enough angle for me to show you, so I didn't add that back in. But I did seal it here with Big Top on each side, and I dried it with my heat gun when I was all done. I decided for my next project, I was gonna make a tabletop riser for a spring table decor out of some scrap wood. So you see me mixing here Flour Sack by Sweet Pickins milk paint. I use warm water, equal parts of the powdered milk paint, and I use a shaker ball, and I shake it up in a glass jar, and I let it sit for a few minutes to thicken up. I ended up not using the Flour Sack, and I didn't want to waste it, so I added some of the Wildflower to it by Sweet Pickins milk paint, and I have a very soft pink hue to it. Guys, you will not find real milk paint in any big box store. They do not carry it. True milk paint only comes in a powdered form. That also goes for a chalk paint. Real chalk paint you will not find in a big box store either. Read the ingredients. It is only latex or an acrylic base. You see me here filling the cracks with air dry clay from Iron Orchid Designs. I'm putting on my second coat here of milk paint. You see how even and smooth this is? And then when you sand it, it's like butter. It is so soft. I decide to seal all of this beautiful paint in with the Sweet Pickins milk paint oil wax in white. After I applied it, I let it sit on there for about 15 to 20 minutes. When I was done and I wiped it off, you have to be very careful in storing your rags that have oil wax on them. You can dry them flat on your concrete floor outside or driveway outside, or store them in a metal garbage can with a lid, because they can self-ignite because it is an oil wax and it is combustible. I decided I wanted to try some eggs this year. So I found a dozen eggs in this crate that are dyeable from Walmart. So I took the dye out and I put that in the trash, and I opened up these eggs. I cut the cartons in half so that there was just 6 to each side. I decided I was going to decoupage 6 of them, and I was going to paint 6 of them. I first started out painting them with my Bohemian Brights from DIY, but I found that with the way this surface was on the egg, it was too sheer. So I ended up painting them again in DIY clay-based paint, and then I went over the top of them with the DIY Bohemian Brights that were curated the colors by the Turquoise Iris. They are beautiful colors. Perfect for spring, bright, lively, and so cheery. The Bohemian Brights have a top coat sealer already built into them, so I did not have to seal these eggs with Big Top from DIY. I went through my beautiful collection of napkins, and if any of you guys order decoupage paper from me, don't be surprised if I find napkins similar to what you ordered. You might find them in your package slipped in there. I love using these napkins for stuff like that. They're beautiful. So the first time I took it and I covered the egg in my DIY's crystal clear patina. It's used as a decoupage medium, a transfer gel, or a top coat. And I rolled it and then I folded it as I went around it. I didn't like doing it that way the best. The next one you'll see that I did it and I kind of rolled it as I went, and I put the paper down or the napkin paper down as I went, and I folded it, and then I went a little bit more, and then I folded it a little bit more, and I cut the excess off at the end. The other one I cut the excess off in the middle when it was just a chunk at the bottom. But I found doing it the second way was much easier, and it worked better, and it folded better around this odd shape to decoupage on. You see me here adding the Bohemian Brights to the top of the clay-based paint that I have on the egg. It has an already built-in top coat sealer, so I didn't have to seal it with anything else. These colors, you guys, are just stunning. When I was all done covering with the Bohemian Brights, I got out my hot glue gun and I covered the egg carton with the hot glue, and then I put down some Spanish moss around the egg carton. Once I had it down on the bottom and around the edges, I hot glued each one of the eggs into the carton, and then I added little bits and pieces to the spots that looked bare. And then I took my scissors and I trimmed it up around the edges so it didn't look scraggly and just thrown together. And then once I was completely done, I took the jute twine and I tied it up around it like a little package and a bow at the top. I then decided I needed to have some carrots to go with this spring and Easter decor. And I knew just the bed that I had in my garage for me to take apart. So I got out my DeWalt jigsaw and I started cutting the spindles out and pulling the bed apart. Once I had the bed apart, I took the spindles and I cut the ends on both sides off with my bandsaw. Then after I had all the ends cut off evenly with the bandsaw, I took it over to my sander and I made sure that all the bottoms were completely rounded and sanded all the way around so there were no sharp points and no splinters that could come off and hurt anybody. I then got out my S30 Klingon brush, which is my go-to brush, and my Summer Crush by DIY, and I painted all of these spindles, which are now going to be carrots. And you'll see me later on, I end up taking out my round, my R14 brush by Klingon, because it ends up being a better brush just to get in these round spindles. I've got my fan brush here, which comes in the set of the Artisan brushes by the Turquoise Iris. I then put some with weathered wood lines around it, and then I blended it in with some water and the round 14 brush by Klingon, just to give it a different textured look, almost more natural with the carrots, because when they grow, they have lines around them. I then sealed it with my Big Top from DIY and the brushes that I used for my clear coats. I speed up the drying process with my heat gun. I then went through my floral and greenery stash and picked out some greenery that I thought would look good in the carrots. I then got my hot glue gun ready, and you see me here putting the tip of the hot glue gun into a glue stick. I don't know why or how this works, it just does. It stops all of the excess dripping in between uses. So you see me filling the carrot, and then I put the greenery in there, and it didn't stay. The holes weren't big enough. So then instead of getting my drill back out again, I got some really sharp shears that are sewing shears, and I just carved out the hole a little bit bigger and a little bit deeper, and that did the trick. So then I filled it with some more hot glue, and then I was able to get the greenery in there. I have 5 of them that are fern leaves, and I have 5 of them that are a silvery green leaf for the tops of the carrots. Not too bad for a planter or basket, and the bed that came from the dump, some scrap wood, and some $2 eggs that came from Walmart that now look like some high-end decor. All of the paint and products and these projects used in today's video can be found over on my website at stellaroseboutique.co in the SRB Home Decor section. You can also find them in my shop at Stella Rose Mercantile and Boutique at 524 Justice Drive in Greenville, Tennessee. If you like this video, if you would please give it a big thumbs up for me and share it out with anybody that you feel would also enjoy this video. Make sure that you've hit the subscribe button and mash that notifications bell, and you've hit all, because as soon as I hit 500 subscribers, we're gonna have a giveaway, and you don't wanna miss that notification. Thanks for watching. Bye.